Man City have confirmed the signing of Claudio Echeverri from River Plate for a fee of around 15 million reportedly. I don't actually know the exact fee as I'm recording this because it was in preparation for the announcement. But the rumours have been persisting for an awful long time. I actually did a video about a month ago saying it was done because Fabrizio Romano went big on it. But finally, it's been officially announced. The City have got their next, hopefully, Argentinian wonderkid. You may be thinking, who is it? Today, I'll try and answer that in a little bit more detail and talk about what we can expect from this talented young player, and of course when maybe will we see him in a Manchester City shirt. Before I do that, please do me a massive favour, please subscribe to the channel. I've been doing this sort of daily kind of content where it's more conversational, just sat talking to you down the living room when my son sleeps on his nap during midday, and hopefully you're enjoying this more kind of formal to camera kind of video. And of course there will be the lives in the evenings as the games start coming back thick and fast again. For now though, this is just a slightly different approach. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel and help support a fellow Blue. But let's talk about this signing. I'm really excited by this one. Now, immediately when Man City sign a signing like this, an 18-year-old talented player, a youngster basically, there's immediately cynicism online. We're just signing them to hoard these players. We're just signing them as part of the City football group. We're just signing them because we're going to sell them on in a year or two for some money. I don't think in this case that is warranted. I understand the cynicism. I understand why people would say that. But I think this guy is actually the real deal. Claudio Echeverri is an 18-year-old forward, if you don't know who he is. He's sort of like an attacking midfielder, stroke false nine, sort of a versatile attacker. And he's been on the cusp of becoming a superstar for a while now. A really exciting young player who's only played a few games for River Plate for what it's worth, but this guy is something of a superstar. I think he scored 12 goals in 20 games for Argentina under-17s. He scored a hat-trick against Brazil for Argentina under-17s. If you do that, you become something pretty special, and you become a household name too over in Argentina. And he was. His profile absolutely shot through the roof when he scored that hat-trick against Brazil, and you can easily see why when you look at how he plays. He actually reminds me, stylistically at least, of a little bit of a Brahim Diaz. If you remember Brahim Diaz when he came through at Manchester City, a tricky, nimble, attacking midfielder. The difference between him and Brahim, I think, is, for one, there's a little bit of extra height there, which definitely helps. He's already playing first team football, of course, as well, playing in the Argentine Primera Division, which of course shows that he has the tenacity, he has the wherewithal, he has the strength, he has the skill, and he has the focus. And to me, if you get a Brahim Diaz, but you get a little bit of extra height, a tiny bit of more experience from him, then you can potentially get a first team player. Brahim was, of course, very close to being a first team player at Manchester City. He, of course, is now a first team player at Real Madrid, doing really well there, back there after a spell at AC Milan on loan. And hopefully this might be the one to actually make the step up here. Now, he's come in, of course, as an 18-year-old. He won't be staying with Manchester City. For what I've heard personally, and I think this is absolutely true, and I don't know what City's official announcement will say when it goes online, but what I've heard is that he'll go on loan to River Plate, and if it's wrong, it's for a year. I apologise. But I've heard that he'll go on loan to River Plate until the summer. At that point, he'll obviously have a bit more experience and more first-team games. Then he'll come back to City for the pre-season. He'll have a little bit of training with Pep Guardiola, and they'll see where he's at, what his level is at that point. You never know how much a player can develop in 6 months of first team football. All this time could be just enough to get him ready to join the first team squad. But the likely scenario apparently is that he'll come around, do a bit of training, and if he's not quite ready, they'll send him off on loan to one of the many CFG groups. It could be CFC clubs, it could be Girona, it could be Troyes, someone like that. But I do think City are taking this guy very seriously. I don't think he's just a City football group signing. The Argentinians really see this guy as something pretty special. He's actually higher rated than someone like Julian Alvarez was at the time. A lot of kind of potential expectation has been thrown on this guy. You can see why when you look at you look at the way that he plays. He's got an awful lot of, going for him. He's a devilishly quick dribbler. He's got excellent feet. He's two-footed. He's got pace in one-on-one situations, a powerful shot, and most excitingly for me, he seems mature beyond his years on the pitch at least. And hold that point, I'll get back to it in a minute. But on the pitch, he seems to know when to make the right call, and that to me is a big sign of any player. One criticism of Brahim when he was a little bit younger is that he held onto the ball a bit too much. Immensely talented, but he had a tendency to try and do a little bit too much before he released the ball. Echeverri already seems to have the understanding of when to release the ball, when to play a pass, when to trust his ability to beat a man, or when to shoot. And that is rare in someone as young as he is. He just turned 18, by the way, 2nd of January. But someone that young to be that smart already, it's really, 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 really encouraging. And I talked about holding a pin in it, about on the pitch at least. Off the pitch, maybe not quite as mature yet. He's already sort of burned some bridges at River Plate. He said at a very early age that his plans are already to move on from River Plate. And the River fans weren't very happy with that. You can understand why. Put your head down, you're young, do your football, do your talking on the pitch, and all that kind of stuff, like Alvarez did, and eventually you will get that move. Largely, there's an acceptance in South America that these players are going to look to Europe because the money's there, the reputations are built there, and so on. I don't think River Plate fans, well, not many of them at least, begrudge the idea of a youngster going to Europe eventually. But a 17-year-old, 16-year-old coming out and saying that his plan is to move already, I think it ruffled a few feathers there. So I'm a little bit surprised that he's actually staying on loan because there's a little bit of bad blood. Which isn't. It's not horrific, and he's only a kid, and I think a lot of people understand that. But it was signs of immaturity. But once again, he was just a kid in footballing terms, just a baby, really, if we're being honest. That will come, of course, that experience of knowing how to handle these situations. Maybe he was badly advised. I don't really know. But what we do have now is another fantastic young player. Of course, when you look forward to Manchester City's future, Kevin De Bruyne is getting a little bit older. Alvarez wants to be a striker, so he's not a 10. There is still that potential slot there, someone as an 8 or a 10 or as a winger to come in and do something pretty special. Echeverri is at the start of his career still. He's got an awful lot to improve and an awful lot of experience to develop, but you cannot deny that talent there. And I do know that City see this guy as a real prospect. He's one of the hottest prospects in the Argentinian league right now, if not the hottest prospect. And to me, you look at his game, he's immediate a throwback to the old-fashioned Argentinian number 10s. You think of your Ortegas, your Riquelmes, Marcelo Gallardo, people like that. That's really encouraging. Just pure lust for football, pure energy, pure skill. But not quite as luxury as some of those players were in that era of number 10s. He definitely has that work rate in that pressing. He's a little bit of Tevez in his aggressiveness in the game as well. He said he's listed Messi and former River Plate player Juan Fernando Quintero as two players he idolises, but he models his game on Mateus Suarez. I don't know anything about Mateus Suarez, but you guys will probably know that more than me. But this guy, look, we're going to have to be very patient. He's obviously only really young still. We've got an awful long way to go. But there's something exciting about signing players like this. I'm a firm believer in signing players that become superstars at Manchester City. Well, not a firm believer. I don't mind signing superstars, of course, like Haaland. Wonderful. But largely, I do enjoy seeing people like Alvarez come in, who take their game to the next level and become a superstar at City. Like, obviously, Alvarez was already a very special player, but he became a household name at Manchester City Football Club, and then, of course, what he achieved with Argentina. And I do think there's something to be said for Echeverri coming in at this young age, being moulded by Guardiola for a year before, maybe a year or two. Maybe, I don't know when Guardiola leaves, but at least get him a year with Guardiola, based on his contract anyway. And I'm excited for this. There's something exciting about a South American wonderkid always. And Echeverri is the latest, hopefully, to follow in the footsteps of, Alvarez or Jesus. And you can mock me saying Jesus, but he was a very good player and at one point a special talent. Didn't fulfill his potential. But even if you got a Jesus level player for that money, an excellent squad player, a top class player, even if not a nailed on starter, you'd be very happy with the money that we spent there. And City seem to be onto a good thing at the moment. They've got a good working relationship with these South American clubs, River Plate in particular. I think the City have paid a little bit over his release clause for this to get it done, which is smart. They didn't have to do that, but it's sort of building relationships, and it's a good faith sort of option for Manchester City, knowing that River Plate will sort of favour working with Manchester City again. And you can't go wrong if you've got the likes of River Plate in your good books. And of course, clubs like Independiente, Boca Juniors, they'll be paying attention to this as well, and they'll know that Man City are the club to work with if they're going to sell a player, because they'll get a little bit more and they'll get treated really well by the potential buying club. But this guy's coming in, of course, we've got to be patient, we've got to be calm, we've got to be considered. But Echeverri, to me, strikes me as a special footballer, not just a throwaway ZFG one. Of course, there's many things that can happen from now until the time he wears a blue shirt. If he ever does, he might not fulfill his potential. He might just slow down massively. But this is a serious sign to take serious interest in, and we'll see how he gets on in his time at River Plate. I'm hoping it's going to be like when we were watching Alvarez play for River Plate before he joined. He was bagging goals and he scored 5 or 6 in one game. I'm hoping it's going to be like that when we get excited. For now, though, keep an eye on this guy. City have signed him. He looks good in a blue shirt. Hopefully he does anyway when we get to see him. And this is a very, very, very interesting bit of business. Guys, let me know what you think of Claudio Echeverri in a Manchester City shirt. Will we see him anytime soon? Will we see him in the summer? Will we see him in a year from now? I don't know, but maybe you guys do. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe in a bit. Come on, Trevor Winners.